Hey everyone, welcome back to another reading from the basic text. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Clayton. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and I've been clean and sober since February 21st, 2021. And yeah, wow, it's March 15th. March 15th, and today's reading is Growing Up is another personal story called Growing Up in NA. Let's get started. When she got clean at 16 in Chicago, she had no way of knowing that more than 20 years later, she would wind up in Italy, feeling how service connects us all. I made it to NA for the usual reasons, and thanks to the fellowship and 12 steps, I've literally grown up in NA as NA has grown up around me. I got clean in Chicago in 1983 when I was barely 16, and all the meetings in the metropolitan area could fit on just one sheet of paper. Much of our literature hadn't been written yet. We had poker chips instead of keychains, and my first basic text was a photocopy of the literature approval version. There were few women and no one else quite as young as I was in the meetings I went to. At 6 months clean, I was asking my shift, answering the NA helpline from a payphone in my halfway house for juvenile delinquents where I was living. Looking back on it now, it seems like NA and I were both adolescents who grew up together. It was a period of rapid expansion in the fellowship. Every weekend we traveled to meetings or workshops or planned social events, learning how to stay clean together. How you identified yourself in a meeting became of the utmost importance. We were forging our own identity as a fellowship, saying yes, we can recover in NA. Just NA. There was no avoiding service in those days, and being the addict that I am, I was rather obsessively involved for the first 9 or 10 years of my recovery. I was believed to be a part of a lot of new beginnings, openings, and area service office, creating 2 regional service structures, planning local and world conventions, developing NA literature. What I learned after spending more than half my life in NA. Simply that, the fundamentals are just that, fundamentals. Excuse me. There is no substitute for being of service, having a good sponsor, working the steps, and going to meetings. I was fortunate in that I got clean so young that I have literally grown up with 12 incredible tools for living. The steps. I have had to confront many difficulties during my recovery, but with the tools of recovery, I have been able to overcome and, even more importantly, learn from and grow through all of it. When I had about 10 years clean, I moved to a very remote Native American reservation where there were no NA meetings. I was able to stay clean and continue to work the steps by maintaining strong relationships with other addicts and my sponsor, who I was with for 15 years. Today, I know I can do anything I choose to in life, as long as I am willing to do the footwork. Working the program has helped me become the responsible, productive member of society that our literature talks about. I went from being a high school dropout to having a master's degree and working with Native tribes nationwide in Washington, D.C. I was still feeling jittery the first time I had to get screened for White House clearance to meet the president. until I remembered that I was a juvenile when I got clean, so my record would be clear. I have traveled all over the world and gotten to do work that I believe in and would benefit others. I was back in Chicago for several months around my 20th anniversary, so many of my old crowd were no longer around for all of the usual reasons. One was in prison, several dead, lots using again, and a number still clean but not going to meetings anymore. As I seem to do every year around my clean date, I was examining my recovery and looking for reasons to keep going to meetings myself. It seemed like I always had the most clean time whenever I went, and I felt a real need to be around other old-timers and hear what made them keep coming back. Thank goodness I did what I had been told to do all these years. I went to meetings and I shared. I talked about my feelings and doubles, including the classics. I got clean so young, maybe I wasn't really an addict. I actively sought out people with time and questioned them on where they found their motivation to continue in the program. I reconnected with a woman I had known since she got clean 15 years earlier, and we began working the steps together again. I did another fourth step, inventory. In short, I followed the program's suggestions. What I got in return was another spiritual awakening and a new lease on my life in recovery. And now I am writing this from Italy. I have started a new career, something I love and that is just for me, and I am back to doing service in NA. I am an active member of my home group and Narcotics Anonymous in Italia. I have a sponsor and I sponsor two amazing women. The program here seems very much like the NA I walked into many years ago, and I am excited and honored to get to be a part of another growth cycle in NA, this time halfway around the world. 3 years ago, I attended my first Italian NA convention. Each meeting at the convention was based on the entry from the Just for Today daily meditation book. At my very first meeting, I had a man from Italy with 14 years clean say that he read from it every day and it had helped save his life, and keep him clean. I spontaneously bursted into tears when I was 18 years old. I was a regional literature chairperson and for 2 years coordinated what we then called the Daily Book Project. Every weekend we had editing workshops in my mom's basement when I would input the corrected versions in one of the very first personal computers. During the first time I had never stopped to think about the impact we might have on someone else. I wouldn't realize it until years later when I was half a world away at a convention. There I heard another addict speak in Italian about his life changing as a result of the literature we were working on in my mom's basement. Today I understand how what we do in our own lives and recovery can be felt around the world. Through NA and the service we do for the fellowship, every single one of us is connected in some way. Coming from a Native American tradition, I had always been taught that we are all related and interconnected. But I never thought much about this early in my recovery because I was so young and busy trying to stay clean and grow up. I now understand why I need to keep coming back, no matter how long I've been clean. I finally understand what my family had been trying to tell me all those years. Mitakuye Oyasin. Interesting. That's That was another dynamite story out of this amazing book we call the Basic Text. That last word must be an Italian word. Hey, if any of my community members is Italian and can want to leave a comment and tell me what that word is, it's Mitakuye Oyasin. I guess it's spelled Mitakuye Oyasin. But then it's got a little hypertext above it with number 18. But anyway, yeah, so that was a good story. That'd be an amazing opportunity. I would love to go to another country or go overseas and help a community, that's going from nothing to something and just help them build. I think that'd be an amazing feeling. Knowing that you're doing something for those who are less fortunate, and there are lots and lots of people out there who are way less fortunate than we are, and we might have our shit days and our even shittier days, but there's always people who still have it worse. So thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I appreciate every single one of you. And if nobody's told you today that they love you, well, I love you, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Alright, so hit like and subscribe, and just join my community. You want to. Okay, bye for now.